boys and girls, we are going to be talking today about multiplying by multi-digit numbers. So what that means is we're going to multiply a number, a multi-digit, several digit number, 3 or 4 digit number, by another number that either has 2 or 3 digits. Okay, we're going to be working in our module 1 through 9 book, and we're on page 21. Okay, so I want you guys to follow along with me and write in your book along with me, and if you have a question, you just let me know. Alright, so let's start by reading this first problem. The cost for a summer camp is $1,125 for each camper. Shoo! If 65 campers sign up, what is the total amount the camp collects? Well, already I'm starting to think, well, that's going to be a big number. That's a lot of money. If there's 65 campers and they're each paying $1,000, I'm starting to estimate in my mind what that's going to be. And I know it's going to be a great big number. And that's what A is saying. Estimate 65 times 1,125. Show your work. Again, I'm going to look at this number in the thousands, and I'm going to say 1,125. Is that close to 1,000 or is that close to 2,000? That's closer to 1,000, and it's easy for me to say 1,000 times 65 was going to be 65,000. Wow, that's a lot of money. Okay, this estimate's helping me know about where I should be when I'm multiplying this. All right. So remember yesterday when we started discussing multiplying, and I broke it down and was showing you guys the difference in multiplying by a number in the ones place, tens, hundreds, thousands. That we're not just multiplying single digits every time, that when we're multiplying, we're actually representing tens, hundreds, thousands. So we need to keep that in mind as we're working it out over here. Okay, so first it tells us to multiply the ones. This is exactly what we've been doing. And what they're meaning by the ones is in this number 65, we're just going to multiply the 5. One strategy I do to help me is I just circle my ones. So you can see here in my picture, I hope, that I kind of circled that 5 and I went around. Now I call this my turtle. Doesn't it kind of look like a turtle? And that helps me to say, okay, I'm only thinking about my ones right now. Just like the work we were doing yesterday. We're only doing our ones. I don't need to quite look at this 60 quite yet because I'm not there. So I'm going to start with my ones, okay? So I've got it zoomed in. I hope you can see it good on your end. Alright, so I'm going to start here. 5 times 5. I know that's 25. I have 5 ones. And I'm going to put my 2 in this box. Do you notice that there's a box and then another box above it? Well, this problem is really trying to help you understand it. So it's telling me that I'm going to have some answers here. I'm going to be carrying some numbers. I'm going to be regrouping. So the bottom line is for your ones and the top line is for your tens. Normally when we are multiplying, we just kind of write it ourselves. But they're trying to help you out here. That's why those are there. Alright, so 5 times 5 is 25. Next I'm going to say 5 times, this is 20. Okay, that's what that means. So that would be 100, but I have 2 more tens, so that's 120. And I know that you guys have been saying, well, we just say 5 times 2 plus 2. That's okay for us to do in our head, as long as we realize that that 2 is really 20. You can say 5 times 2 is 10 plus 2 is 12. I just won't, and that's why I keep saying it the other way, because I want you to realize that you're not multiplying 5 times 2 here. You're multiplying 5 times 20, and then you're adding your 2 tens, okay? Because as we get into these greater numbers, it is going to be harder to kind of keep up with that, but it's important that you realize that that's what that represents. Okay, so we said 5 times 5, 5 times 2, or 5 times 20. Now with 5 times 100, well, I know that'd be 500, and I have another 100, which is 6. And don't forget here, so I have just hundreds. I didn't have to carry anything. Then 5 times 1,000 would be 5,000. So I have 5,625. That is how many ones there are, because I multiplied 1,125 by my 5 ones. I still have to multiply that same number by 60, okay? So when I get done with the 5, I usually mark it out, and then I always mark out what I carried on top so I don't accidentally do that again. That's my strategy. You use whatever is helpful for you. Okay, so now one thing we need to understand is we're here in our tens place. So technically when we start here, we're not saying 6 times 5. This represents 60. We're saying 60 times 5. 60 5 times, or 60 times, is going to give you 300. It's not giving you 30, okay? It's giving you that 300. So one thing that I have always done is, first of all, the reason there's always a 0 here, or you may have been taught to put an X here, is because you're starting with your tens place. We know anything times 10, that last digit is going to be a 0. We're not just sticking it there because that's the rule. We're sticking that there because no matter what we multiply, the last digit is going to be a 0. Okay, so in this case, it's 60 times 5. So I'm going to put my 3 up here, and I don't have any 10s or any 1s. Now I know that some of you may just say, oh, well, 6 times 5 is 30. Okay, that's fine. As long as you realize that this is 60 times 5. So technically that's 300. That's why we have no 1s, we have no 10s. We put them all in our hundreds. Okay? Next, we have 60 times, this is 20. Okay? And we have, and you may be thinking, okay, 6 times 2, that's fine. 6 times 2 is 12. 60 times 20 is 1,200. We've got 3 more hundreds, so that's going to be 1,500, and we're going to carry that 1. And then we have 60 times 100, and then we have another 1, so that's actually 7,000. 60 times 100 give you that 6,000, and you had another one. And then 60 times 1,000 is going to give you that 60,000. Excuse me. And that is how many 10s we have. 67,500. So when we're thinking about those 10s, our answer right here was 67,500, but that means we have 6,750 10s, which is the same as 67,500 ones if we have it out like that. Okay? So it says add the partial products. So you may hear that term, and all that means is what you got, or what value you had when you multiplied your 1s, and what value when you multiplied your 10s. So you're just going to add those up. So we have 5 plus 0 is 5, 2 plus 0 is 2, 6 plus 5 is 11, carry 1, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, carry my 1, and I get $73,125. Is my answer reasonable? Let's look back at our estimate we had earlier. Now remember, when we estimated, we rounded down, so we knew that our estimate was lower than what the actual answer should be. So our answer is reasonable because it's close to our estimate. And again, a common mistake that is seen is forgetting that you're in the tens place here, and so then you would have 5,625, 6,750, because you're forgetting to scoot over a place right there, and you would get like this, 12,375. That's a common mistake that I see a lot. And hopefully, if you did your calculations and got that, you would look back at your estimate and say, that's way, way off. So again, that's the good thing about having that estimate to begin with. So let's do a couple more together. An online store sells camping chairs for $29. If the store sells 26,578 chairs in 1 year, woo, how much does the store earn in sales? Wow, that is a lot of chairs. Again, I'm gonna round my numbers. Now, let's look at this biggest one first. It is up to you how you want to round it. Remember, this needs to be what is easy for you to quickly do in your mind. I still think I'm going to round to the greatest value, in this case the 10,000s place. So 26,000, I think, is that closer to 20,000 or 30,000? And that's closer to 30,000. Now, some of you might look and say, well, I'm going to round that to 26 or 27,000. You may even want to round to 25,000. It's up to you. And I'm going to round my 29 to 30. So I actually decided to estimate both of my values this time. And I did that because I easily know 3 times 3 is 9. But if I'm saying 30 times 30,000, so I have 30,000 3 times, then I'm going to have 900,000. 30,000 3 times would be 90,000. 30 times is going to be 900,000. Okay, so let's start working it out, and we're going to keep that in our mind that that's what our number should be. Okay, so this time I'm not going to say as much of the, this is not 2, this is 20, this is not 2, this is 200, because I know it gets wordy and a little bit confusing, but it's super important that you guys realize what those are. Okay, so I'm going to start here in my ones place, and I still like to draw my little turtle's head because I like my turtles. Alright, so I'm going to start. 9 times 8. I know that is 72. I'll put my 7 over here in my tens. 9 times 7, 63. 63 plus 7 is 70. Okay, let me carry that. Remember, that was 700 is what it became. Okay, 9 times 5 is 45. 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52. And I'm going to write my 5. Keep on going down the line. 9 times 6, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59. 9 times 2 is 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. I have nowhere else to carry. That's why I'm going to write that whole 23 right there. And again, we didn't necessarily say exactly what these are because as we've been practicing, now we can kind of do that standard algorithm. We can just figure it out quickly. Okay, next, I'm done with my 9. I like to mark out my values up here so I don't accidentally use them again. I'm going to go ahead and put my 0 there in the ones place because I know I'm not going to have any ones. I'm multiplying by 10, or in this case 20. So 20 times 8. So we have our 2 times 8, and that's 16. Really, because it was 160 is what we got. Okay, 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1 is 15. And 2 times 5 is 10. Plus 1 is 11. 2 times 6 is 12, plus 1 is 13. And 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. And then we have, I forgot to fill this in as we've been talking. So when we said 9 times everything, we got 239,202. Okay, and then when I multiplied everything, it was saying how many tens is that? Really, it's just 53,000 tens because we take off that part. Or, oh, I threw my pen in the trash. Or we have 531,561s, like what we showed here. Okay, add the partial products. We're adding up what we multiplied: 2, 6, 7, 10, 3, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 770,000. 762. Woo! That is a lot of money. So I'm gonna think, is my estimate, does it help me? Well, one thing I notice is my estimate's 900 and this one's 770. Still, it's not that much greater. And look at what I did with my numbers. I rounded 26,000 way up to 30. I made it bigger. And I changed my 29 to 30. So I knew my estimate was bigger than what the real answer was going to be. So that helps me know that my answer does make sense. Excuse me. So how would partial products change if you were to multiply by a 3-digit number instead of a 2-digit? Well, you might think some things like it would be larger. Of course, if you multiply something by 10 or by 100, your answer is going to be larger. You might also think, well, I would have 3 rows of numbers because I'd multiply ones, tens, and hundreds. Okay? So let's do number 2 together. So I'm going to turn my paper over and write. So I have room. You may choose to do it on a piece of paper. If you turn your paper over, it's going to be the back side of this sheet. So you won't be able to do it like that. Or you could do it on your dry erase board or however you need to. Trying to make sure y'all can see that. Yeah, I'll do it in my Sharpie. Okay. Might be a little bit better like this. 813 times 76. Yeah, I can see that good. Okay. So again, we have a 3-digit by a 2-digit number. So we're going to have our 2 rows. I need to keep that in mind because I have a 1s and a 10. So I'm going to multiply everything by my 1s, then I'm multiplying everything by my 10s. Like we were just saying a minute ago, if this was a 3-digit number, I'd have multiplying by 1s, multiplying by 10s, multiplying by hundreds. I still like to draw my little turtle's head, so I'm going to put it around that 6 and that number. You do not have to do that. Helps me stay in line. Okay. 6 times 3 I know is 18. Carry that 1. 6 times 10 is 60 plus 1 is 70. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 1 is 7. And 6 times 8 is 48. So I've got that number. I'm going to mark out my 6. I'm going to mark out my 1. I'm going to go ahead and put my 0 here because I'm multiplying by 7D. So I know my 1's place is going to have a 0. 7 times 3, 21, or 210. 7 times 1, 7, 8, 9. And 7 times 8 is 56. I've got my partial products. Now I'm going to add them together. 8, 8, 17, 6 plus 4 is 10, 1 is 11, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, put my comma there, and it's 61,788. All right, let's try one more, and then I'll give y'all some time to do yours independently. All right, let's do number 3. 4,359 times 45. Oh, and we forgot to estimate last time. Let's estimate this one. I think I would round this number to plain old 4,000. And I would round 45 to 50 just because I don't know 45 times 4 in my head. And whatever I round to, I want to know in my head. But I do know 4 times 5 is 20. So 4,000 times 50 is going to be 200,000. All right. Okay. So let's start multiplying. One thing I'm thinking of too right now is I rounded this number up a lot, that number down some, so it shouldn't be a whole lot far off from what the real answer is. Okay, so let's start with the ones. 5 times 9 I know is 45. This is where knowing that reflex is going to help us. If we know our facts really quickly, we're not getting stumped on that part. I know 5 times 5 is 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. I added my 4. 5 times 3 is 15, 16, 17. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 1 is 21. So I'm going to get rid of my numbers I carried, and I'm going to mark out my 5 because I'm not in my ones place anymore. We'll go ahead and put my 0 because I'm saying 40 times 9 is 360, 36. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 3 is 23. 4 times 3 is 12, 13, 14. And 4 times 4 is 16, plus 1 is 17. Add up my partial products. 5 plus 0 is 5. 9 plus 6 is 15. 7 plus 3 is 10. 1 more is 11. 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, 9, and 1. I get 196,155. Pretty close to my estimate of 200,000. Okay. Now, one thing I'll tell you about the 200,000 also, I wasn't gonna say it because you can't always use this strategy. But if you know 4 times 5 is 20, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 extra zeros to add. That can be a strategy that you can use. Just remember though, this doesn't work when it's decimals. You know, if you had 5.0, you wouldn't add that other 0 because that still has the value of 5. But that can be a strategy you can use. So I want you guys to continue. If you need to do some more practice problems, do some on page 23. And if you think you're good, you can go ahead and work on that homework and let me know if you have any questions.